Welcome to Retreat Affairs. This is your host Sascha Kaus. I'm super happy that you have found the podcast. If you're hearing this, you're listening to our free feed that will only feature partial episodes of the podcast. If you're interested in the full conversation and all content, you need to subscribe at retreataffairs.com. There, you will get access to the full recording and a private RSS feed that you can add to your favorite podcatcher, and you will be able to access other subscriber-only content. I never want money to be the reason why you can't listen to the podcast. So if you can't afford a membership, there's an option at retreataffairs.com to request a free account, and I grant 100% of those requests, no questions asked. Hi wonderful beings, welcome to another episode of the Retreat Affairs podcast. Today I welcome Vivi Letsou and Eraj Shakib. Vivi and Eraj built Zen Rocks Mani, a stunning retreat center in the Mani region in the western Peloponnese of Greece. It's a dream come true, and they both have a wonderful story to tell of how they found the love for each other and how they followed Vivi's dream to return to her homeland Greece after living for more than 20 years in the US and build a retreat center where she could share her love for the practice with people from all over the world. But before we get to hear more from Vivi and Eraj and their wonderful love story, I want to start this episode of the podcast with a little bit of storytelling myself. Sure, this episode, like all the other episodes that have been released yet, bears a lot of personal experience and connection. But while the previous episodes featured guests that came into my life already some time ago, this episode is very recent and everything is still fresh and not yet fully absorbed and integrated. I recorded the interview with Vivi and Eraj on the last day of the very first retreat that I have joined after the lockdown and all the effects that came into place since the coronavirus has affected a lot of what we have called our normal way of living. This was not the usual retreat in the sense that I or someone else had planned it with the intention of creating a commercial retreat. It was born out of the idea and courage of a few old and new friends to come together, spend time, practice, enjoy summer, good food and virtuous company. In the beginning, it wasn't clear where the retreat would take place. Spain or Greece were possibilities. Due to the fact that Spain saw more and more infections again and some regulations that affected the possibilities to travel to Spain, we decided to go to Greece. For most of us, it seemed like the safer and easier one of the two locations. And Zen Rocks looked like a wonderful place to go to. And Betty, the teacher in this week, was living in the area, which meant the group would not just have an amazing teacher, but also have the perfect guide to the part of Greece that we would travel to. For myself, it meant a few extra challenges. While I had been to the place in Spain, I had never been to Zen Rocks in Greece. So I had to travel from Spain to Greece to a place that I didn't know, not being able to bring my regular equipment and ingredients to cook for a whole group, and trust in what I would find there and my own capabilities to create healthy and nourishing food with whatever I would be given. It also meant that I had to go on my first air travel since February, when I returned from Bali. And this time, it required me to get tested for the virus, as this was a requirement to be able to enter Greece. Plus, there were no direct flights and I had to go through different airports. In my case, through Germany. I won't give you all the little details, but it was challenging. The test itself was a truly unpleasant experience. If you don't have to get it, I wouldn't recommend it like I recommend you to get a regular test for your vitamin and mineral levels. After a day and a half waiting for the result, not knowing if I would be allowed to go, the test results came and turned out negative. So I was ready to go. Being on a plane with a mask wasn't a pleasant experience either. Mostly, it felt strange to interact with all the different people on the journey, not being able to exchange a smile. Since I had only 72 hours to enter Greece after the test, I got afraid that I wouldn't make it in time when I missed my connection flight in Germany and had to spend the night in a hotel. Luckily, I got a new flight to Greece and made it there more or less in the allowed time. But at my arrival, nobody asked me for my test results. You might argue that this is not the time to travel through the world to do yoga. especially by plane, going from one country with higher numbers in cases to another country that seems to have managed the situation somehow better. We can't have that full argument right here, right now, but I'm happy to have it with you wherever we meet or connect. What I can tell you here and now is that I have trust in life to show me where I need to be and what I need to do. There were many challenges that I had to overcome to go on this journey, and I admit that I had my doubts if it would be the right thing to do. But I decided to trust and take one step at a time. And with every step and persistence towards a goal without pushing or forcing anything, life unfolded. I was shown that it was okay to go, that every challenge that was put in my way was there to test if I was really ready to go. And when I finally arrived where I wanted to be, and in every moment that I experienced throughout this week, and with every encounter I had, I knew I was where I needed to be. Throughout the last few years, I had the privilege to be able to host retreats, be invited to others to cook, and attend a few deep and transformative journeys myself. My own travels and experiences have also shown me that there's a deep wish inside myself to find a home. To build a place that I can call home and invite others to spend time with me. I enjoy being a host for others. It gives me great pleasure to cook and care for my guests and spend time with them and share life. Creating a space where this is possible permanently and not just for a week of retreat is a dream of mine. I enjoy hosting people and bringing them together and facilitate a space where they can practice, connect, and spend time in the search for the divine within themselves. Because I see it as a wonderful practice to put myself at service towards the practice of others. When I come together with others, I can learn so much about myself. And this brings me to my guests of this episode, Vivi Letsou and Eraj Shakib. Vivi and Eraj are doing what I want to bring into my life, and maybe some of you feel the same. The two have dedicated their lives towards creating community. They built Zen Rocks Mani, a wonderful retreat center in the Western Peloponnese in Greece. You'll find the website for Zen Rocks Mani at zenrocksmani.com. You'll find them also on Instagram at Zen Rocks Mani or on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Zen Rocks Mani Retreat. The retreat center was not their first project. Before they were able to realize their dream, they created two other places that helped them to build their community. Vivi and Eraj opened Nisi, that's NYSY, one of the leading yoga and Pilates centers in Greece. And they have opened Avocado, one of Athens' first vegetarian restaurants. I have been there, and I can say the food is delicious. This episode is also a love story. The love story of Vivi and Eraj, who found each other and followed their dreams. It's a love story that is truly inspiring. Not only if your dream is to open a retreat center, but also how dedication, hard work, and true love for what you're doing can bring your dreams into life. I truly enjoyed the conversation with Vivi and Eraj, and I hope you will enjoy it as much as I did. It's time to say Kalimera, Vivi and Eraj. Vivi, Eraj. Thank you for having me. Thank you for taking the time. What a beautiful place you've created here. Absolutely amazed about Zen Rocks. When did this idea come up the first time to create a retreat center here in Greece?
Vivi, do you want to take that on? Or?
I will say a couple of things, and
Sure.
you can add if you want to. So, Eraj used to live in the United States, in California, around San Francisco. And I used to live in California, in San Francisco. And we met, and we had both been living in California for 20 years. And when we met, I told him my dream, which was to go back home to Greece and have a healing center or a retreat center or a meditation center with a yoga as well and exercise. And what happened for you then, Eraj?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the story that when we met, Vivi had already in mind that she wanted to come back to Greece and create she was part of the San Francisco Zen Center and attended a lot of retreats through the San Francisco Zen Center alongside of other retreats that you'd gone to. And I was working for a high-tech company, and I was ready for a change in my life. Met Vivi, and it seemed like we were both on the same page as far as what we wanted to do. And yeah, ended up in Greece, and the dream has come true, and we get to serve and take care of people.
And so this was right from the beginning, like right when you met, you said, okay, this is what I want to do. So you, Eraj, somehow knew what was the plan to go for.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
That's how it felt for me, yeah.
And like when we met, we were already in the United States for 20 years, and his intention was to stay in the United States. I mean, they were a family from Iran. His whole family was in California. For me, most of my family was in Greece. I'd already, I was working as a filmmaker and kind of like pursuing that dream for a long time. And I felt that that came to a completion, and that now I was ready to move on from making my films, which was like the big passion of my life, to doing something that actually helped help other people to heal and to find practice and to find what they were looking for. And because my years in the United States were not easy, and being a filmmaker was not easy, there were lots of ups and downs. And so what always saved me was the community, the Sangha, the meditation, the Zen community, my practice, Zen and yoga. And so it was the time to go from like serving my own dream and purpose, which was the passion for film, to serving others with the ability to have a good way to practice, a good practice. And so that's how we met, and it took a couple of years more, where we lived in the United States and other things happened and we weren't ready to go. So then, after 22 years in the United States, in 2004, at the end of 2003, 2004, we came to Greece, and we could not make reality of our dream. We could not make it a reality yet for several reasons. My father had a heart attack and we had to stay in Athens, and we didn't have the money yet to get going, so we ended up staying in Athens, even though it was not our initial intention. And as we stayed in Athens, we opened up the first real modern yoga and Pilates studio, and we became an academy that was training wonderful yoga and Pilates teachers, and that kind of blossomed. That was like an unexpected great success. So that's what we did. From 2004, we opened Nisi in the heart of Athens. It was a big meeting place for people who wanted to practice yoga and Pilates, people who wanted an education, and great teachers from all over the world would come, and they would offer teacher trainings and workshops, and we did conferences. So that whole thing took all of our attention and all of our time for years, from 2004. And then 2011 was when Eraj opened the first real successful vegetarian restaurant in Athens, Avocado.
Let me just get back to the US. So you've been working in the film industry. What did you do there?
So I was working for the film industry for about 15 years. And so the bread and butter job was that I would direct and produce corporate videos in Silicon Valley for advertising agencies and high-tech companies. And the love part of that was that I would make my own films, short films, feature film called Skeleton Woman, documentary films, political documentary films, and I would work in film festivals. So Thessaloniki Film Festival, I would go every year and work in that, and the Telluride Film Festival. And so It was a very wonderful dream and passion, and I felt like after working on it for many years and with how difficult it was, there came the time to choose to go for things like yoga and meditation, Zen meditation, that nurtured and supported me, and then I wanted to share them with other people.
And how was your first contact with yoga and meditation? How did that happen?
I was always curious ever since I was a kid, growing up in a small town in Greece. I would go to the local library and I found a book on Buddha and Carlos Castaneda, and so I was very interested, and there was no way to have more access to it when I was growing up as a teenager. But that was part of the reason I wanted to travel. And I went to the United States at the age of 17 to study, and almost immediately I started exploring yoga and meditation. And then when I was in San Jose, California, and I graduated from the theater department from my master's in theater, I started a dance school, and there were dances from all over the world, Brazilian, African dance, tango, capoeira, and we had yoga there. And so I started learning the Iyengar system from an Iyengar yoga teacher and the Vinyasa system from Kali Ray, she called it Tri Yoga, and it was a flowy type of yoga. So it wasn't going to be my job, but it was the thing that really supported and healed my body and gave me wonderful release and wonderful way to maintain balance in my body and mind. So it was. I always felt gratitude for the yoga.
And Eraj, how was your background? What's your story? What took you to the US, or did you grow up in the US? And
Yeah, basically, it's not as exciting in Vivi's, but we left Iran when I was 15 for holidays, and while we were in England, all the turmoil that was happening in Iran, the revolution, of course, and things were changing rapidly. The family decided that I should stay behind, so I ended up in a boarding school in Brighton.
What year?
In England.
What were the years?
That was the end of 78 or mid 78, yeah. Summer of 78. And lived in Brighton for 3 years, and after that my family decided that they wanted to move us to the United States, so my sister joined me, and we got an opportunity to travel to US and go to school there. So my older sister and I ended up in the US, and then my mother came. Then my father came 10 years after that.
And your younger sister?
My younger sister with my mother, absolutely. So that's how we ended up in the US, going to school, getting our degrees. I studied accounting, business administration and accounting. Ended up working for an accounting firm in LA. And later, as the Silicon Valley was booming, we ended up in Northern California in Greece. So I was in Northern California, in San Francisco, and I kind of was setting the stage to meet Vivi, I guess. It was all happening so that we can meet. Then I worked for a high-tech company for years. The money was great, but there wasn't much satisfaction in what I was doing. And I think that I was searching. I knew that I needed something different. And through Vivi and her lifestyle and what she was doing, I really wanted to be a part of it.
I really like how you say you were setting up the stage to Vivi. Is it something how you always have seen?
I believe
meeting?
in that. Absolutely, I believe in that, because there were so many opportunities in my life to maybe be somebody else's partner or marry someone else, and it just, for whatever reason, it wasn't happening. And I do believe in that. I believe in happenstance, and I believe that it's kind of, if we want it, it's there for us. We just have to be a little patient with it and trust.
So how was your first meeting? When did you meet?
She will tell you about that. It was very hard to convince Vivi to come out on a date with me, but I was persistent and.
Okay, so you saw her and you always wanted to take her out, and it took you a while to
Yeah.
convince her.
Yeah.
Persistence paid off, good looks, good manners.
Yeah.
The fact that when Eraj, we'd met years ago, and then again we reconnected through a common friend of ours, Helga, our dear friend Helga, Armenian Persian lady. And so the second time, I was already on a trajectory to come back to Greece. I was brokenhearted from, the film industry kind of like lynched me, and broken dreams and heartbroken from previous relationships. And so my trajectory was to no relationships and just, go back home and be with my family and do something for my people. And so when we met, of course, he's Mr. Charming, and I was working, trying to get ready, trying to do everything that I had to do with the documentary that I was finishing up. And he sent me an email, and I broke my back. I had an injury, a back injury, working in an art show. And then I was just in my house working and feeling the pain, and Eraj sent one of these wonderful emails, let's go out to dinner, let's go out for a movie. And my first reaction was to say no, and then I said, Vivi, what are you going to do? It's going to be one more day where you're home all day, working in the computer, and feeling pain. So why not just go out, take a break? It won't be the end of the world, you can still get things done, and just go out. And I said, okay, fine, let's go to dinner and then to a movie. And Eraj shows up in his beautiful black Audi, and flowers on my doorstep. Wow! And every time he would come for a date, he would come with flowers. He was a real gentleman, so how could any woman in her right mind refuse such a handsome, kind, just really wonderful young man who shows up with flowers on your doorstep and opens the door for you and closes it too.
And open it again and close it again.
So when you started dating, when you started going out, did you already know that she was about to go home, that she wanted to go back to Greece?
I think so, yeah. I think our first date was very interesting. Vivi mentioned that she had a bad back, so basically we ended up in a restaurant, and the whole time she was standing and eating, and I was sitting down. So it was an interesting first date. It was a lot of fun. I said, yeah, she's different, she's alternative, and yeah, I think within a matter of weeks, she had explained to me that this is what's happening, that she has in mind to go back. And I really wanted to give it a chance and try it, and whatever would happen, would happen. But yeah.
So it was something that you really considered doing. Okay, I'm ready to leave the country for the woman that I love.
Yeah, I didn't have much ties, and I knew that I wanted to the U.S., and I knew that I wanted a change. And this was a great opportunity to be a part of it. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Just be fearless and go for it.
So and then when did you first do something like a trial trip to Greece, or
We
did you
the
just
first
decided?
year. Yeah, the first year we came. First year we met. We came for a holiday, and that was around September. We went around the Greek islands. I met Vivi's mother and father, and basically we couldn't communicate since they didn't speak English and I didn't speak Greek. But they were just very warm, beautiful people. So they embraced us and embraced me, and I felt really good about it. And then when we were back to the U.S., we planned to come back. So we were getting ready. And I came to Greece before Vivi did because she was finishing up her documentary.
We had the premiere of our
had the
documentary
premiere.
in New York.
So I ended up in Greece at the end of 2003, basically living with her parents without being able to communicate. But it was a lot of interesting times, and we had a good time. And I was kind of looking around for the studio that we wanted to build. So dealing with a lot of people, real estate agents and things like that. And Athens was brand new to me, so it was exciting in a way that I was getting to explore Athens a little bit. And Vivi, on the other end, in America, was already building the website for our studio without even knowing where it's going to be. So we were both working on it. So the vision was coming through, and I knew it's going to happen. I felt good about it.
So this was already a plan. You left the States, going to Greece, knowing that you wanted to open a studio here in Athens and teach yoga. And
Yeah, well, first, the retreat was our dream, but it wouldn't be realistic to start with the retreat because we didn't have the money, we didn't know where, we didn't have a clientele, we didn't have background in this business. And then just the way things happened, it seemed obvious to us that we would probably start with opening up a yoga studio in Athens. And so, yeah, we hit in end of 2003, beginning of 2004, we hit the road running, as they say. And yeah, it was perfect. It was really a good thing. Everything worked out.
And then opening up the yoga studio. So it was you teaching, and what was your job?
I was managing in reception. Basically, it was just two of us. Vivi was teaching, I don't know, 5-6 classes a day.
22 classes a week.
22 classes
Yoga,
a week.
Pilates.
Whether it was one person or 10
Private.
people, she was there.
Doing massage.
And I was managing with my with the limited language skills that I had in Greek, but people were so open-minded, and the good thing about Greece is that it did help is that most Greeks do speak English, so it's easy to communicate. But one thing I wanted to say was that every job that I did in my life, and I think Vivi, with all the pain that we went through and all the not being happy in the environment, we learned a lot from that, and everything came together when we opened up the studio. My accounting background, marketing, Vivi's producing all these events. Even though at that time we were thinking, my God, I want to change things, they all came to help us to succeed. Everything that we learned throughout our lives. So I think it was a big thing for the success of Nisi Studios and eventually Avocado.
And then you slowly grew the studio and got more and more teachers on board, or how?
Yeah, I always loved education, and I always believed in education. So when we started, immediately almost, we started a yoga teacher training program and a Pilates teacher training program. And I would teach the yoga teacher training program, and at the end, I would invite our good friend from San Francisco, Rusty Wells, to do the 30 hours of vinyasa at the end. And when we were thinking about that, there was hardly any programs like that in Greece, and even in the United States. Like in the beginning, Rusty said, "What, you want me to teach what in 30 hours? Teacher training?" So it was kind of like his beginning with teacher trainings as well. But somehow there was always, for me, the inspiration of the next step was always like a seed that was already there. So as we did that seemed to be the need, that people needed that kind of training to become really good yoga teachers and really good Pilates teachers. So we kind of filled that need that was already there. And with all our wholehearted effort, we were working really hard. So, but it happened, it just blossomed.
Yeah, and we have a lot of gratitude for Rusty to help us out, and he was very open-minded about it. Really, we were working like a family. And a lot of teachers who came, they felt that too. So really good connections with a lot of great teachers, bringing their own talent and really trying to help us out, get it off the ground.
And all the friends, like teachers, like Petros, whom you know as well, Petros Hafenrichter, he's been coming every year, offering workshops and part of teacher trainings. We just had Sue Elkind and Naeem Jazeni from the Anusara community, Desiree Ramba, and from the Pilates community we had Ray Lesakowicz from Basi Pilates. Back then Basi, now Basi is like the leading Pilates academy, and they are in like 44 countries. They have studios and affiliates and franchise or licensees everywhere. And when I went to Serial in California, we were like some of the first countries to have a franchise outside the United States. And so it was like Greece was one of the first places to have this wonderful, wonderful, high quality Pilates educational program outside of Rail's base. So things just like happened with really great people who supported us and we supported them. And therefore, the people who came, they benefited.
And at the time when you opened the studio, was there already a community, a yoga community, a Pilates community in Athens?
Small community, yeah. There were certainly teachers teaching yoga. There were a couple of studios,
Very little.
but not to that level in the sense that they weren't inviting teachers, and they weren't. Greeks were not exposed to other teachers from abroad. So I think the yoga seminars and festivals that Vivi did really brought the community together, and the people who have been practicing for years, including people who weren't practicing, they were new to yoga, came and really embraced it. So I think the seminars were a big thing. The festivals were a big thing.
There was good yoga happening. There was already a very deep community of Satyananda yoga in the Satyananda ashram, which is in Sparta, close to the airport. There was that, but it's just that it wasn't the big appeal for most Athenians. So there was that, and there were other teachers that were really good and dedicated, and they had students for many years. But to have a center in a studio in the center of Athens where people just go, and in the contemporary sense of a yoga studio, I think ours was like really the first one, and it opened the door for people to come and train as teachers and to open their studios in yoga and Pilates, and also for other systems. It was the time. It was like it showed that it can be done successfully, and so it was a good thing. It was a green light for all of us.
And then at some point you went on another adventure and opened a restaurant in Athens.
Yes, yes. A good friend of ours, Petros, I think I was, I think 20 years ago, it's been 20 or maybe, I don't know how long ago, with Petros, we were having a seminar and he was talking about how we can create less harm. Through Rusty, we talked about all this. So I became a vegetarian just being in that environment and learning about what's happening. And I really wanted to try something. I wanted to try something not just for my own health, but as more of a compassion towards beings, other beings. So I became a vegetarian, and at the beginning obviously it was very hard, but stuck with it. And then I felt like there was a need to introduce international cuisine, vegetarian cuisine in Greece. And Vivi at that time was doing a 3-month practice period at the Zen Center in San Francisco. And I had this idea with a good friend of ours to open up a restaurant. At the beginning we thought maybe just a juice bar, because there's just so much involved in creating a restaurant. And so they went from a juice bar to a menu, to full menu, to chefs visiting and helping us out. As they say, build it and they will come. We had the idea. We had a good community around us, and Vivi from afar was really helping us out. Anytime she could get on the phone, she would get on the phone and help us out. And really just the support that we got from the community. And a good friend of ours, Alessandro Ortano, who's an Italian chef, also a yogi. Ortonia, sorry. He was open to it, and through talking to Vivi convinced him to come and help us create a menu, and we worked together, and next thing you know, we have Avocado, and people came, and Penelope, a good friend of ours, came and created so many different dishes with juices, and just incredible support.
Penelope Shakti. So, and like Avocado now is a restaurant that everyone knows, that's well loved. people are like, they get together for parties in New York and they say, I've been to Athens. Oh, I've been to Athens too. Wow, Avocado. Yeah, I know the people. Oh, it's my best friend, my best, buddy. And so it's kind of like, what's interesting is like how you can, I want to share the beginning of it because I want to share with the people that when you have a dream and when you believe it and when you do it for the right purposes, don't listen to what the other people say. Go ahead and do it. It can be done. It will be done. So you actually, the incident with Petrus and you becoming a vegetarian was about 14 years ago.
Yeah, about 15,
yeah. And so Avocado started about 10 years ago.
2011, yeah.
In 2011. So in 2010, my father passed away and I was really, really close to him. And I needed to get away and find whatever the healing process was. So I left back for California for the San Francisco Zen Center. It has a monastery in the country, in the mountains. It's called Tassajara. It's a beautiful place. It has a river and hot springs. There's no electricity. It's just no phone, no internet, or very little anyway through a satellite. And so that's my Sangha, and that was my teacher. And my teacher was going that fall of 2010 to lead the practice period there. My teacher is Reb Anderson, and he's the teacher of Suzuki Roshi. You know his book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. So my wonderful teacher is gone, and it's a sign for me, this is the time to go. And it was very difficult as a first idea to leave Nisi, our studio, our yoga studio, because I was teaching so many classes and I was running the studio and Eraj too, all of that. But when you're determined, when you're clear that you need something, when I became clear that I really need to go there, the sea parts and you can just walk. That's what happened with the support of Eraj and other teachers. Todd Tesson stepped in to teach for me from the United States. I was able to go, and it was a great time, a magnificent time. Every 5 days, we had a day off, and we could go to the phone booth, it was satellite phone booth, and I would call Eraj. He says, the place across from Nisi has become available. I think I want to open a juice bar. Okay. Yeah, the juice is a healthy way to do it. And, some of our friends who don't have a job, they can stay there. Okay. Then I talked to him days later, we're going to have food as well, vegetarian food. I'm like, I don't think it's a good idea because we're busy with the studio. What do we know about owning a restaurant? And why go and do this thing? No, he insisted. We had fights over the phone. And Eraj...
Disagreements, for sure, yeah.
Disagreements, yeah. But Eraj would say, it's going to be ready in January. It was already in November. I'm going to have my friend Rama be the manager so he knows and he will do all the cooking and all the work. And it's going to cost 30,000 euros. And I would tell him over the phone, it's not going to be ready in January. You'll be lucky if you've been ready in May or June. Rama will do a lot of the work, but it's going to be you who's 24/7. And it's not going to cost us 30,000. It'll cost us like 5 times as much. And he says, no, listen to me. I really want to do it. So turns out I was right. And
on all levels? On all levels?
But guess what? But I'll tell you, I was right, but I'll tell you, there's something else here. And that's why I said it like that. Because they opened in June. Rama was a wonderful guy, but it was a little too much for him. So Eraj ended up, of course, working the 24/7. And, to this day, he does a lot of the work. And it was more than 5 times the original budget.
The initial budget was for a juice bar.
Yeah, and we did not have the experience, and it was doing something new for us, and it was everything. And he turned out that it opened in 2011, in that crisis when the indignant citizen demonstrations were happening, and Sintagma was closed with 200,000 people, and the police, and there were fires, and there were like all sorts of
we're right in the middle of
all sorts of like turmoil happening. So we're right in the middle. So, but the big part is that Eraj was right too, because what he did with so much love and dedication and not thinking about profit became our most profitable venture, and it's very successful, and it enabled us to kind of like step into the next thing, which is building Zen Rocks. And there's community around Avocado. It gives work to 27 people. It's a tiny restaurant, but it gives work to 27 people, and they're really wonderful, a great team. And
through the crisis, we had a lot of support from the journalists, and their crew would come and eat at Avocado. So we're, in a sense, seeing fires around us, explosions around us, police, demonstrators, and then inside the restaurant would have journalists who were on their computer just sending
from CNN,
the news from everywhere,
from BBC, from all over the world.
They really supported us through that period, otherwise.
So another time you created the grounds for something to flourish and come up.
I think it all comes from intention, like Vivi said. If your intention is to offer, and I think our intention is mostly offer. Making money is part of a growth. You need it to grow, there's no doubt. But if the intention is to make money, it's a very different approach, and it didn't work for us. For us, it was just build it, create a community, and the rest will happen. And it's been like that, our approach to everything that we're doing, and it really works.
There is a book called Ask the Why, or Ask the Reason Why. We met with somebody in San Francisco, a business person who had a chain of really wonderful tea cafes. And he said, ask the reason why, I think it is. Ask the why. And so it is true, the title, that you have to know the reason why you're building something. If your why is true and it's powerful and it's deeply rooted in your heart, you will do well. Because if you want to open up in order to make money, in order to whatever, to be successful, for us it was never that. It was never we're going to do this to make money. It was always a dream. And the dream had to do of like doing something that's good for the people who work as a team, and also the people who come to benefit from this product or our offering. So ask the reason why. And if your reason why is strong and it's clear, and if it's rooted in you wanting to do something for the benefit of all beings, then the oceans will part. You will be able to do it. And that's what has been happening to us. With a lot of work, we make it sound easy. Mm-hmm. We work day and night. And, we haven't been able to go for a swim in some time now, and we're like 5 minutes from the sea. We work hard, but things are happening, things are manifesting, and in beautiful ways, like the retreat we just did together with you, Sasha, as the chef.
Yes.
So not the question of what, but the question of why.
Yeah.
So not what I want to do, is why I want to do it.
And you're still both of the places are running, and you've created that community, and it keeps you busy all the time.
It does, absolutely. Even with the team that we have, I think altogether maybe we're a community of 30, 35, maybe more. I think with the students 50. But everybody's doing their bit, and they're supportive, and they've gotten to a place where they know what it takes. But at the same time, we need to be there for it. Zen Rocks now has become the focus for us a lot, even though we're involved. Like I go back and forth between Zen Rocks and in Mani and Athens all the time. Maybe it used to be 4 times a month that I would go back and forth. But that's what it was needed. Now more and more we're concentrating on Zen Rocks and building Zen Rocks. So
Zen Rocks here, the retreat center is like three hours, 3.5
It's
hours
a
away from
3-hour
Athens.
drive. I do it in 2.5 hours. I don't stop. But when I tell people it's 2.5, they take some 5 hours to get here. Like, what do you mean 2.5? But
You have
it
some
is easy to get here.
delicious bribe on your car when you. Wow. So at what time, I mean, you said that creating a retreat place was your initial dream. Creating Zen Rocks was your initial dream. And then you ended up first doing a yoga studio, then having a restaurant. Was there a time that you felt you're just gonna stay with that and not gonna create a retreat place?
Not for me.
No, we were always looking. When we came and started the studio, we started doing retreats from the first summer. Well, we opened in 2004 with the Olympics, but I mean the first summer, which was 2005, with Rusty coming to do his first retreat with us. Yeah. And we went to the island of Paros. So we would go to these islands and we would offer retreats for people to come, mainly from abroad, with well-known teachers or with myself. And so we would check out the islands to see where could we build a retreat. And so we went to Paros and Mykonos and Santorini. We had retreats in Crete for a long time, for many years. And also we visited other islands. And we kept looking and were not quite finding the perfect place for us. So, but early on, we found Mani. And the moment we came to Mani, we just fell in love with the place. And Eraj said, honey, we found our place. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
When was that? When did you come here the first time?
I believe we were through a friend of ours who had visited Mani, said you should really check this area out. And I think maybe 10 years ago, 11 years ago, maybe longer than that, 12 years ago, we were searching around and we were driving with our little red Opel with no air conditioning, and it was tough to get through the heat of Mani and go around, and we were going through all the olive groves and driving around, and all the locals were looking at this little red Opel car and they're all wondering, what are these people doing here? Maybe trying to help Google Maps or... Anyways, we were going in and out of these olive groves and talking to people, talking to the locals, trying to find the right place. We knew that this would be the area.
So when you first came to that stretch of land here, or to that area, I mean, like, this is now a beautiful, beautiful retreat center. It looks amazing, and it's all like created so intentionally, it feels. It's just wonderful. But how was it when you came here the first time? Was it just like olive trees and rocks?
Pretty much, yeah. No road. There was only one access to it, and it was pretty tough to get through. But with the help of, like Vivi said, Petros the butcher, I was in the back of his truck, and Vivi was sitting up front holding the door, since the door was flapping open all the time. But it was a lot of fun. Anyways, he ended up bringing us here and said, this is available. It was hard to imagine at the beginning. We weren't committing to it yet because there was just nothing available here. No road, no water, no electricity. But we knew that we wanted to be somewhere where we're more protected and we're not in the middle of all the busyness of roads and freeways and whatever you call that. So we knew that we wanted to be somewhere where it's more quiet. And then we kept searching and searching, and something kept bringing us back here. And when at one point we decided that this could be the right place for us, this is the right idea, and then we moved forward with it. And it took a lot of time to bring it to the level we can start building.
It was overwhelming for us in the beginning. We didn't think we wanted to. We were scared because we didn't really have a lot of money. And it seemed that you would need to bring roads here and electricity and water. And it was just like this rocky terrain with a lot of olive trees. And it seemed very inhospitable. But the land, I believe the land has a very luminous spirit, a very healing spirit. And I think she kept inviting us here. She had plans for us. We kept thinking that we need to keep looking and searching, but she just kept drawing us back here and again and again. And that's the thing again, it's like the thing with Eraj saying, he was pursuing me in the beginning and I was saying no. And then when you surrender sometimes to the gift that life brings you and you open your stupid eyes to see what's in front of you, then the gift unfolds. And the same, like now, Raj, he's like my armor with my knight with his shining armor. I call him, my prince. So yeah, he's like a magnificent human being and a great man. And the same thing with the land. We didn't think it would be our land, but she kept inviting us, and she had all these amazing gifts, this amazing power, the quietude that's here now, the serenity, the fact that, you can see the village down there, you can drive and go to the village in 2 minutes, but there's nobody around and there are no roads, and you can have this absolute quiet with the eagles and the owls and the stars and the sea and the horizon and this beautiful olive tree. So you're in the midst of nature, and you can go swimming in a few minutes, you can go to civilization in a few minutes, but we also have this feeling of being in sacred space and in perfect quietude.
And also not having the feeling of ownership. We don't feel ourselves as owners of anything. Basically, Avocado is going to keep going without us being there. Nisi Studios is going to continue to keep going. We've already basically involved most of the teachers and people who've been helping to build Nisi Studios to be a part of it. And that will happen for Zen Rocks because it goes beyond us. It's not a matter of owning this place. We believe that there's going to create the community, and the community will keep going and offer people things that they need. Yeah.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And when did you actually buy this stretch of land?
We bought the land in 2007. And then it's one thing to buy land, and it's another thing to realize, like, you need buildings, obviously, unless you would do it in tents, but you need all these things. And, we weren't getting anywhere. We're telling civil engineers who would meet them and tell them what we wanted, and they would like, yeah, it's great, and they weren't doing anything. Things were just not moving. It's a curious process. The civil engineers are afraid of the bureaucracy. And they're like, yeah, okay, what you want to do sounds great, but we don't think it can be done. But they don't tell you that. And so
the civil engineers would have been, or they've been responsible for making
getting the permits, the designs and the permits.
To make sure something like this could happen.
To get the designs and the permits.
And
they weren't moving. And so in like 2009, 10, I don't know when it was, 12, I don't remember when it was. But I paid a bunch of money. I got a little permit to open some roads, and I paid a bunch of money to a guy who had the big road equipment, and I said, come over. And he spent a few days here just opening roads and making like flat areas, 2-3 flat areas where we could actually stand, because you couldn't walk in this land. And
so this is like, okay, just giving the listeners a little bit of context. I mean, like, we are in what elevation here? I mean, you have an amazing view around. You can see the Mediterranean. You can see all of the surrounding nature and landscape. It's like really, really far, but we're quite high, and it's just like it feels like just being on a mountain.
Yeah, we're on a hill.
We're on a 7-minute drive basically to the beach, and a 20-minute drive to Kardamili, which is a beautiful town by the sea. But at the same time, when you're up here, you feel like you're thousands of kilometers, so to speak, away from all this, which is wonderful to have both. When people come here, they go, wow, this is just the most serene, quiet, beautiful place to practice and be. And I'm really sleeping well at night, and it's cool at night up here. And within 7 minutes, I'm by the sea, and great tavernas here. So Yeah, it's just having the access. We didn't know that we can have another access, to be honest with
We
you.
have a road now. We opened up another road that goes towards the sea and towards Kalamata.
So,
Which means you can be by the sea in 6-7 minutes, and you can be to Kalamata in 20 minutes. So in a way, it's like beautiful access to beaches and Kalamata and other wonderful archaeological places to visit.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm going to make the same point that I made again twice, I think. And that is that when your vision becomes clear, stop waiting for other people to give you the green light, because they will not. They may not. So nothing was giving us the green light. Civil engineers talking, nothing moves. Going, to different offices, government offices, nothing moves. Nothing moved, nothing. Whether we had money or didn't have money, nothing wasn't moving, and we didn't know why. And maybe they could understand that we don't have a lot of money, and so they weren't bothering with us, I don't know. But what opened it is, I got the contractor, I gave him a bunch of money, and I said, open it up, make it accessible. And I was here with my car 10 days, just waiting for him, and it opened up. And the moment the roads opened up and the flood areas were created, everything opened up. Everything opened up then. Because we were able to come here and camp. Eraj would come here and we camp in our tent for 10 days, and it was amazing. We had like the best time of our life. We'd go swimming, we'd sleep under the stars. Eraj would take his showers with like bottles of water. And it was just really wonderful. It opened up. And then we brought the mobile home, this little mobile home. And I keep saying it's the only smart investment we've done. It's the only smart investment, because everything else just costs too much and it takes too long and it's too much trouble. But
yeah, we had to create a base, so the mobile home really came in handy for us
to
to be able to
came.
plug things in and just start working and envisioning what we wanted to do here. So,
and in a day, when you bring a mobile home, a used mobile home, in a day we had 2 bedrooms, you have pillows, you have mattresses, you have curtains, you have a kitchen, you have everything, right? You had a gas stove, you had a refrigerator. So it's like, oh my God, what are we talking about? So we started living here. We got our first little kitty, our Shakti kitty.
And by the time you built the first real structure here, apart from the mobile home, so how long did it take you to actually invite people here and create something like a retreat, have the first guests here?
So then in 2015, we decided, okay, we're gonna go for it. The permits became available. The first 2 buildings, which would host the first 14 people, could be built, and we didn't know if we were going to do it, but we went for a dive. We said, okay, let's go for it. And it was kind of like darting in the dark, or like not knowing what will happen. We didn't know how Greece would do financially and as an economy, but we also didn't know that our resources would hold us to finish them. But somehow, miraculously, our beautiful country made it. We have great tenacity. The people, here, like the people in every country, and despite the games of the politicians and everybody else, somehow Greece pulled through, and somehow we were able to finish. And so 2017, in the summer, the buildings were done.
Good friend Arun.
And our first retreat was with our friend Arun. He's an Ayurvedic therapist and a yoga teacher he came from Los Angeles, but he's originally from India. We'd met in a Shiva Ray retreat in India years and years ago. And he's a wonderful, supportive friend of ours. So he came, and just days before he came, we were pouring cement, because we had the buildings, but we didn't have the landscape was nothing, it was brown earth. And there were no roads, so we were pouring cement for the driveways just days before he came. And this beautiful natural-looking garden now got planted with sage and lavender and rosemary and all of this. We're working day and night, and then Arun showed up with his beautiful group, and that was our first retreat. And then after that, in 2017, we also had a good friend from America again, an American group again, Anusara, with Sue. And so from the first summer, we were able to have a couple of retreats, which is what we built this place for, is to have retreats and practice.
So how did it feel after all those years, seeing your dream come alive?
The anxiety, the agony of getting things done has not finished. Like it's an ongoing process. We keep building.
It's always there.
And it's becoming more and more like we're still not at the final phase of our vision, but like the first year was beautiful just because the teachers we invited were beautiful and the groups they brought were beautiful. And so first year went well. And then the second year, 2018, we built the yoga deck. So every year we build something and we expand. First it was the buildings, and we did yoga on the balconies, on the terraces, which are big enough to do yoga in, with 15 people. In the amphitheater in the evening for less sun. So we had what we needed there. And we would cook here in this little cottage and we would eat outside under the olive trees. It was perfect, no problem. But then in 2018, we built this magnificent yoga deck with wonderful wood, African Iroko wood, and nice covering on top. And we got the best team that builds structures like that in Greece. They came and they made it happen. So in 2018, we created the yoga deck. And then in 2019, we created the kitchen and the cafe where we're sitting now and eating. And that's also beautiful. It has a nice view, fully equipped, large kitchen for our groups like yours to come and cook beautiful, delicious vegetarian food. That happened in 2019. And then in 2020, the idea was we were going to create big tents to have the glamping type of option where somebody could come and they can stay in a tent and be comfortable, and then they would be more affordable and we could host more people. But it didn't happen because of COVID. And so other wonderful things happened.
Hi, this is a little note from your host. I'm super grateful that you are here and listen to our conversation. If you enjoy the show, why not become a member of Retreat Affairs? There's so much more content than in this free episode. As a member, you will get access to the full interview, you will be able to read the transcript, and have the links to everything that was mentioned throughout the show. But most importantly, you will help me to keep the podcast going. I started this as a project that's close to my heart. I'm passionate about the podcast, but it also keeps me busy quite a lot. By supporting me, you will help me to dedicate more time to this project and still be able to pay my rent and have some delicious plant-based food between recording sessions. Every bit of support is super welcome. And if you feel the love, don't forget to share this with your friends. Thank you so much for your time and your interest. Let's go back to the interview. What I've experienced throughout the last week being here, and now everything feels that it has been around already for a long time. I mean, it all looks brand new. It's very, very beautifully designed and built in a high quality, but still it has that kind of feeling as if it was meant to be like this, and if it was around for a long time and has seen many groups. And being in the kitchen every day over the last few days, it's one of the most beautiful places that I've cooked in so far, with this amazing view out there onto the ocean, onto the mountains and the sunset. It's just incredible. So yeah, I mean, you've really created something magical here. But where do you want to take it? What do you see? I mean, also when you see there's still a kind of anxiety always coming up with this. What is your vision and what are the challenges?
What I want to say, we brought up a good point, is that yes, there is anxiety. If there is anxiety without any action, then it becomes something that becomes stalemate. Kind of, you're not moving. But anxiety in a way that when you're grounded, and Vivi usually grounds me, is that I do most of the complaining, which is okay. But she's the one that gets it done and drives it. She's fearless about that. Like you said, from the very beginning of the project, being fearless about it, taking no for an answer, and getting things done. And the next level is whatever comes to us, however it grows, it's got to be organic, and it will do it, and we will take the next step, as she said. As Krishna Das came from the US with a big group, we didn't have a cafe, that thing was not done, but he kind of moved us to that place where he said, okay, I'm coming with a group of 30, 40 people, where are we going to cook? We used to cook in this little cottage that we were doing the interview with you, Sasha, and then we said we need a cafe and it needs to happen, and it just happened, and people came, the whole village came together, and we built it one day before
2.5 weeks. In 2.5 weeks it was built. Unbelievable miracle. Not even our engineers would believe that we could do it. This is the Shakti of this place. You know, this is the Shakti, and we were talking about how we've come here and what's the next plan. And I wanted to say, let's stay here in this moment. And even though we're talking about just the technical steps of building what's here, the one thing that we haven't talked about, and it's hard to describe, is that there's an amazing spiritual power here. And we can all feel it. And this is the most beautiful thing, beyond the buildings and beyond the gardens and beyond everything, is that you feel a tangible connection with the power that's beyond, with the throbbing, luminous power that moves all of us, and you feel it. If you just relax for a second, you feel it. It's tangible, and it's that power that's moving. And even though we have purposes and we want to do this and we want to do that and we've been working, it doesn't matter. Like at night, after a busy day, I walk around and I cannot believe my eyes. I cannot believe what's here. And I'm like, wow, look at this miracle. Look at this beauty. And I just say thank you, to this power that allows for everything to happen. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like, this land is healing. It's here to support people in their process of healing. It's here to support people in their process of finding the meaning in our lives, to finding whatever it is that will make us, that will allow us to be better human beings. It happens everywhere in the world, and it happens in a condensed way here, because this land has this intention, and we have this intention, and it's kind of like a match. It's a match. It's like Dogen says, when the pot fits the lid, what can be said about that? And that's what it is. We came with an intention. The land has this intention. Everybody like you who come here, we have this intention of moving ahead in challenging times, finding what makes sense, finding our humanity, finding the reasons for our humanity, the hope, the love, the creativity, everything that makes life beautiful. We're finding it together, and we're moving in a time when it is hard to bring that forth. Like, all the forces are telling us, lock up, put a mask on, be fearful, be controlled, and this is a pocket of sunshine. This is a pocket of health. This is a pocket of healing, of no ulterior motives. There's no greediness that moves this place. It's just love. So yes, love and wisdom and light can exist, need to exist, and the earth does everything to support for that to happen. And therefore we just enjoy being here. It's a beautiful feeling to be here, isn't it?
I love it. And I also loved being here throughout the whole week, and what you just said, to see how the retreat, it's not really like, okay, I'm in the kitchen. I don't see everybody practicing yoga all day. I'm not in the yoga class. But what I see in between in retreat is how we all come together and make this happen, and how we get along and how we create something. I mean, how you've created this place and open it up and invite others, and then how we move in, but how we also find our way of becoming a family for that time. I'm here and I don't feel like going into a hotel and I expect this or that, but I come here with an intention of making myself available towards this practice, healing, the facilitation of kindness and humanity expressing itself. And that's the beauty, to be here and experience that. And it's so much of a teaching, and to see how we all come together knowingly that this is the challenge. This is what is happening within a retreat. And I can sense that in everybody that is here, that is working here or visiting. I mean, also now what we've created in the last week, it wasn't something that was closed to outsiders, just like a small group, but it was also open because you had other guests that weren't part of the group that came here to do a retreat. So we are all adapting to the situation right now, which is, yeah, somehow challenging. We all don't really know, like, how can we go on with doing retreats, and people are still a little bit, I don't know, curious or scared about traveling. So everything needs to find new ways, and coming together and making that happen. That's the practice. That's why we do this.
You have to be open to it. And we get that feeling. Even people who are hesitant, they're not really sure what they're getting themselves into when they show up to Zen Rocks for whatever reason. But staying here, they feel the energy and the support and the team that comes together. And leaving this place, they feel energized again. And sometimes they just extend their vacation after they've been here a few days, because they really feel that energy and they know that this is what's necessary for them. That's what's needed. And they get what they need. That's what we offer.
And it's also not that we are, when this whole discussion now is going on about travel, like, should we travel to practice yoga? But it's not about that. It's not just about going somewhere to do yoga. It's also about supporting local communities. It's about coming together, learning something about a culture, going out here, I did my groceries. The group went out to explore the surroundings. We've communicated with the people that you employ here, that you give a job, that have a life, that have a family, that they are able to support because they have work here. So it's that kind of living organism that comes together and makes things happen and makes things possible. Yeah? And I really, really enjoy that, and I'm grateful for having that opportunity, and then also to, go beyond that and see and understand why is this happening, and what did it take you to create this? Because coming here, looking at it, and it all looks like, this has been around forever. But then getting to know the story behind and seeing how much work went into this, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that you made it happen, and it just doesn't look like this.
Yeah.
It's the practice at work. It's the practice that, we sit down and talk about, like in yoga, in Zen, in spiritual practice, we talk about love, togetherness, creativity. And my teacher Reb says, enlightenment is the way we support each other. Enlightenment is the fact that we are interconnected, that my own benefit is not separate from your own benefit, that if you benefit, I feel it. If you're hurting, I feel it too. And that happens in everything that exists. But here's the practice at work, that we want to believe in something positive, and we live it and we work for it, and we help each other to realize that. So traveling, not traveling, what to support, what to believe. The information right now is so confusing. The world is being called to close down, to isolate, to separate. And we are in a pocket of alternative thinking. Like we are the proof that we want to believe in a positive way of life, in an uplifting way of life. This is the potential of humanity, the potential of not just humanity, but of life on the planet is like to live with a good intention, to live with compassion, to live with caring, to support each other, to have joy in our life, to believe not in the reality that we've been told about from books, from TV, from others, but discover the reality that feels good to us. One can discover that reality here, the reality that is about life being a positive force, a positive, uplifting force of love, of awareness, of complete consciousness, of inner being. So this is what it is. That's what we see in the world. I'm so grateful every moment of my life here, in the morning, at night, midday. I'm just reminded by the wonderful things that are happening that, yep, life is a miracle and it's happening right now. And human beings have this potential to be good, to excel. We have the potential for goodness and we're living it. We're manifesting it. I can't think of anything better. Like sometimes I walk around with our dogs or cat. I go for my daily walks. I'm joking with myself. I'm like, oh my God, what will happen if I died and I go to heaven and it's not as nice as this? That's what it feels like. It feels like the nicest heaven that could be. Even when we have challenges, even when we have hard things happening, it just feels like this is the greatest gift that the divine could give us. And we're living this. We're living the dream. Hey, baby. We're living our dream, baby.
Absolutely, yeah. We keep living it, absolutely. And
The love
human
that
beings are
brought us
very
together.
adaptable. They get through this and they will help each other out and support each other. And I think we have a tendency to put fear in things, but people do find a way to come together and maybe work things out where it's safer, but definitely I think we'll find a way to travel, we'll find a way to be somewhere when we want to be, and we find a way to be a part of a community when we want to be.
And to grow roots, to grow roots. Like my dream is to find this wonderful permaculture or organic farmer,
Yes.
somebody who really loves it, because I don't have the time to do
been
everything.
Our toughest search, yeah.
To find this person or people that will help us to cultivate the land more. I know we have good eggplants and peppers and tomatoes, but to really embrace the land and let the land blossom in a way that is sustainable. So that's the dream. But what people will find here is that they will find workshops, seminars, retreats with teachers, cooks, support people who are in the forefront of spiritual practice, of ways of thinking, of being. There will be retreats here of yoga, of exercise, of meditation, of Pilates, writing, painting, Tai Chi, anything that helps us to cooking, everything that helps us to be healthier in our bodies, clearer in our mind, clear mind, healthy body, clear mind, and more open, more loving in our heart. So all of that is available and will continue to be available here through retreats that we teach, that you teach, that other wonderful teachers teach, that people in the forefront of this way of thinking, they're going to be like you came here, this magnetic power will continue to bring the brightest minds and the truest hearts here to share with others. This place, if somebody doesn't belong here, it has a way of spitting them out. So if somebody says, I'm practicing, this is my practice, I'm a very popular yoga teacher, I'm a very successful Pilates teacher, I'm a great meditator, can I come? Maybe, but then, something happens, they don't make it here, they come and they don't stay here long enough. So this is a place of true intentions and true community and good teachers, good artists, and it will hopefully continue to be this bright space.
It's interesting. I definitely have to say, when it first came up to do a retreat and what we've just done with a few friends, it wasn't really a retreat that we set up as a retreat. It was much more of some friends coming together in the intention of a retreat, but also somehow knowing that it might be maybe a little bit challenging to put up a whole retreat, in the sense of we put it out there, we do marketing, we try to get people on board, we have a famous teacher, whatever. We were all a little bit hesitant in the sense that, okay, we cannot overdo it, or we also don't know how will people react to it. So what I felt that still there was this pull. I mean, there was this offer from you to come here without having any kind of restrictions or limitations, and we need a big group and we got to be so and so much people. And then it was the willingness from each and one of us that came to go here. And it was quite interesting to also observe myself, seeing, okay, I flew in from Spain, so I got to get tested, and getting all these little challenges in the way. And I feel it's, again, in those times now, to take one step at a time and then be more certain about what you want to bring in your life, what I want to bring in my life. Yeah, really making an effort to do things. And in a sense, it so resonates also with this place, hearing your story, how much of an effort it took to move every little stone here. Zen Rocks, I mean, like moving all these big rocks that are around to put up and build these beautiful houses and create this space. It's again, it's about that. But then what happens is magic. It's really, this is what the teaching is about. And then to see how everything can unfold. And I've been here, I've been standing in the kitchen, I've just looked out onto the ocean, the sunset, and I felt like, yeah, I felt I needed to be here. I don't know why, but whatever it was, something was calling me, and I needed to be here despite all the challenges, despite all, maybe little doubts. Is it really what I want to do? Travel in these strange times, go to another country, sit on an airplane, get together with people. But no, it's really coming together as human beings and connecting with each other and learning together. And I felt there was a pull, and this place was pulling me, and I'm happy that I followed that pull, that I didn't give up. Yeah.
We're also very happy you didn't give up, and we're also happy that the group came together, and I think it was a wonderful week, and great food, and great friendships were built, and like Vivi said, it attracts people with a lot of different types of talent. We had people who played beautiful music, people who make great food, people who organize this beautifully, great teaching. So yeah, it's been a wonderful week.
Throughout all these years, and with all that you've gone through, so what would be your biggest learning that you had?
For me, it would be trust in the goodness of our heart. Through difficulty, through challenge, trust. Go for your dream. Go for whatever your dharma is. So go for it. And that in going for it, we become better human beings. Maybe slowly, But yeah, we really believe that we have goodness in us. Really believe that with our shortcomings, with our fears, with our anxieties, with our little selfishness, still the heart is bright, the heart is goodness, the heart is love, and there's one force that shines through everything. That's the one force of the universe. That's the big awareness, the big love that flows through everything. Trust it. And if you go for your dream, this is what will be manifested in the process of working and building your dream.
Yeah, I agree, and I believe for me, and I think Vivi might feel this as well, is the incredible amount of support that we receive from people. For me, it's the biggest thing. Even though there are times where you're challenged, even though that you cannot get certain permits through the Greek government or whatever it is, but at the same time, there's always somebody there who is going to support you and is going to be there for you and help you with your vision. And it's been like that everywhere that I've been. But with this project, it's been incredibly positive in the sense that everyone who's been around us has been supporting us in a way. So I appreciate that. Yeah, we appreciate that.
And for you as a couple, what is this?
For me, Vivi, it's just a beautiful being. I really trust everything and all her vision about what she wants to create here. I fully trust her and I love her very much, and I appreciate everything that she's doing selfishly. Selflessness of her. Just offering. And I'm the guy who is there in the background looking at details and doing things, and it's like a great team together. And I believe in her and I support her fully, and she supports me fully, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and like I see Eraj, through everything we've been together, he blossomed as a human being with all the potential that he has. We love each other deeply, through and through. He makes me proud all the time, and to go from the life that he had, he was always a very kind, beautiful human being. His whole family is like that. This Persian family, I call them the royal family, because they're just full of love and just support for each other. And so it's this beautiful family, and there's this beautiful man, and he left California and Silicon Valley to come for the unknown, and then he's blossomed in supporting the yoga studio, with all that work in like making a restaurant with no previous experience in restaurants, just really also unfold and blossom and become hugely successful and give hope to others, to other people to do the same thing with vegetarian restaurants or with whatever their dream is. And then to see him here, he's working so hard. It's the perfection. Everywhere he goes, he like makes sure the kitchen is absolutely clean. The bathrooms are absolutely clean. The detail. So we're building, this is our baby. We are just putting everything into this baby, and we love it, and we love to see people being happy when people tell us they had the time of their life and nobody wants to leave when they come, and everybody tries to extend or to find a way to come back. This is our greatest joy, and so we have this child that we take care of and that takes care of us, and our love grows through this, and also our life is very satisfied, it's very fulfilled through building this common dream. I don't think that it could have happened in any better way. And the great challenges that we have, they're great practice for us to remain calm, to remain steady, to keep going after it.
We work well together, we really do. There is that element of, like I said, not holding on to grudges. Vivi's taught me a lot about that. So we don't hold on to grudges, and we work well together, and she's always a positive approach to things. And and It's been a fantastic time together so far, and it's going to be even better.
Yeah, so invite people who need or want to be part of this. We'll invite them to come. You can come and maybe even volunteer. You can come and practice. You can help us build the practice. You can help us build the place in the garden, or you can just come and enjoy, come as a teacher. You will find a nurturing environment here, a quiet, nurturing, supporting environment to do the teaching that you would like to do. If it's good teaching, definitely, we want you here. And, people who just want a vacation or who just want to practice yoga, meditation, Pilates, exercise, all the good things we talked about, this is a good place for you to enjoy your practice and to find the parts of yourself that need rest, that need healing, that needs fulfillment. Feel like really you'll be welcome here. And it just makes us so happy that we can include all of you in our dream, and together just keep sharing it. What a gift.
It's lovely to listen to you. It's lovely to experience you both together, and also the love that you have for each other through your story, and how everything around us is a creation of that love, and how it's manifested in that place. It's very, very beautiful. And again, I'm super, super grateful that I'm here and that I can listen to your story, that I can share time with you, that I can experience this place, that I'm allowed and have the opportunity to bring a little bit of myself into all of this. It's amazing. It's really, really, really beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you, Sasha.
Before I close this, is there anything that you want to add? Is there anything?
Not for me. I basically had a feeling that it was nice to be able to share everything with you. And I also want to add that we appreciated your love in what you do. So thank you for being here this week, and come and visit us more often.
I'll be back.
Your presence here was absolutely beautiful, as yummy as your food. Thank you for taking care of us. And I saw the calmness and the optimism with which you worked through the week, how much the group appreciated you and how much you wanted to offer to the group. Thank you for all that and for working so well with our team and us. And also, that's an extra gift. You gave us the opportunity to talk. We hadn't verbalized all this. And you gave us this other opportunity in another dimension. It keeps on giving, right? The gift that keeps on giving. And you gave us this opportunity to actually, express, tell the story. So it's beautiful. May this story inspire people to believe in good dreams and good realizations and good endings.
Thank you so much. It has inspired me a lot, and my big dream is at some point maybe also being able to welcome people to a space as beautiful as this, and what you've created here. It's a big inspiration, and I'm so happy that you shared a little bit of your wisdom and your story with me and with our listeners. So thank you very much. And
thank you, Sasha.
I'll be back.
I see you as the host of a beautiful place, the heart of a beautiful, hearty place. I see it already.
Thank you. Dear friends, this was another episode of the Retreat Affairs podcast, this time with Vivi Letsou and Eraj Shakib. If you want to find out more about the two and their businesses, go to their website zenrocksmani.com or follow them on Instagram @Zen Rocks Mani or on Facebook /Zen Rocks Mani Retreat. You will find all the links in the show notes, as well as all the links to everything that we've mentioned throughout the interview. If you like the podcast, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google or Spotify, or any other podcast platform. Or head over to YouTube, where you will find us too. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified about the next episode. And please give me a chance to ask you for your support. I make the podcast with lots of love and dedication, but it's also quite a bit of work. It would mean the world to me if you could help me to keep this work going. Please consider going to retreataffairs.com, where you can leave a little donation or subscribe to get exclusive content that will only be available to members. This will allow me to continue the podcast and bring you more wonderful and inspiring stories like the one you just heard. Thank you for your support and thank you for listening. Until next time, your host, Sasha Kaus.